Yep.
Okay. So probably about a month ago, I teased the idea that we were going to make improvements to the Book World Domination Plan and kind of wanted to incorporate a lot of the things that we did last year with the membership that were so successful, that people found so useful, and that were some of our favorite projects. Um, and I think that we did it. I think we did it.
We did. This is like the ultimate book world domination plan.
And for those of you who think that you don't love spreadsheets, I really hope that once you start playing with this, it changes your mind.
Yeah.
Because when we talk about, I know we joke about how many tabs I have open at all times, but having this has cut back significantly.
Absolutely. Definitely.
So if you're looking for a place that will help you manage your brand, break down your goals into manageable, measurable, achievable pieces, create to-do lists that you can actually work on, create plans for your social media posting, help you understand how to be profitable and sell more books, how to manage the publishing process, set and achieve your word goals, track your backlist, organize your covers and concepts, create publishing and marketing plans, and give you visuals for your expenses, your words, your income, your goals, everything. This is it.
Yeah,
This is it. Okay.
it
So,
is indeed.
and I'm I'm so proud of this because I just think about how useful it is and how helpful it is. Now,
Yeah, I use it all the time. Like it has so much information in it. And
exactly.
like you do not need to open loads of tabs. You just have one tab open.
Mhm. So to start with, we have a 2024 dashboard. Now, this is where, and my thing is slow today. I'm sorry. We have terrible
We
internet.
have technical. Zoom is playing up today.
I know. So this is the kind of overall dashboard for three of the main things that you focus on every year. And it's things like your word count, your publishing goal, and your income goal, right? So on those areas, if, and now keep in mind, the dashboard is literally as good as the information you put into it. So you have to fill in the sprinting spreadsheet for it to tell you about your word count. But then you come here and all of a sudden, oh, the words written, the goal, it's there, right? If you are looking for your publishing goal, like you set a goal of how many books you're going to publish for the year, and then every time you publish, you follow the instructions for how to, note that you've done this, then all of a sudden it's going to track how many books you've published for the year and what percentage of your goal you've hit. And if you set an income goal and you put in every single month your income and everything, it is going to let you know how close you are to your goal at any given time. And I think that this you'll find super, super useful just to give you an overview of how your business is doing.
That's one of my favorite sheets, I'll be honest. And the other dashboard that we have as well, because I think now, obviously, to remember not to change any of the numbers on here, it would be they're pulled from the other sheets. But just to say, well, actually, oh, I only wrote 2,000 words today, and then you go in and you go, oh, but I'm actually ahead of myself. I
Mhm.
think it's a good tracking system, and if you don't make your goal, that's not a problem either.
Mhm.
But it's nice to know how far you've come during the year. Like we are still only in January as well, but you can see when you start seeing those percentages going up, then you're like, okay, what can I do to earn that extra amount to get to my goal? And it kind of keeps you motivated, I think.
Absolutely. And I really, really do love just having this kind of information instead of having to, go from page, because, if you want a snapshot of where things are going, instead of hopping from sheet to sheet to sheet to look at things, bam, there it is. So, and we mentioned we have multiple dashboards in here, and some of them are because we made multiple versions. So keep all of this in mind. But for one thing, right here, your annual overview, we have the annual summary, and this is based on the sales report. Now, we have two versions of sales reports, one for people who are looking at the overall business, regardless of how many pen names they have, And then a second version that is based on the idea that you might be tracking each pen name kind of thing to see which one is most profitable and whether it's worth it to you to keep writing within a certain pen name. And so we have like the overall view. And of course, this is just based on us testing things. So no, yours would not, like you'll reset the numbers. But for pen name one, and all you do like this, you can very easily change so that oh, pen name one is whatever the name is, right? And then when you're tracking your expenses and income and all of that, you're going to have like both numbers and a pie chart. I like pie charts, it's because it really does give you a breakdown of things. And so that's how these are designed. And we designed it for 3 pen names, realizing, of course, that some of you may have more. And if so, you can reach out to us for a custom solution. We are able to customize dashboards if, you have special needs.
But like I have a lot of pen names, as you know, and for me, it was enlightening to actually work it out by pen name, in so much so that one of my pen names I'm not going to be writing because it wasn't profitable. It wasn't anywhere near it. So I think it is a good way to do it, and some people don't want to because they just want an overall. So you've got the 2 choices.
Exactly. And the thing is, what I find interesting is, yes, we always say this, right? Writing is an art, but making money from it is the business part. And so otherwise, it's just a really, really expensive hobby. And it so is, because when you think about the covers, the marketing, all the things that you do to try to get a book out into the world, even if you don't push it a lot, it's still very, very expensive to do. And so therefore, you really do have to look at things. And sometimes people go, oh, well, what's the big deal? All right, if I have a pen name that's not making a lot of money. Well, the big deal is that your time is money. And if you are putting a lot of time into something that isn't making you any money, when you see that there's this one pen name that's doing really, really well, and if you maybe put that time and effort into that pen name, how much, better could you be doing? So these are decisions that you can make based on data created from the information you provide. Then we have our third dashboard. This dashboard, also one of my favorites. All right. Because for those of us who are very focused on productivity, you'll notice there's a green check mark next to it. And that's how you know that this one is for your to-do list. So when you are using the to-do list in here, you're going to be able to track things like the number of tasks that you've completed, the number of tasks that are money-making tasks, because I can stay busy all day and do nothing to make money. How about you?
Yeah, no, absolutely the same. And I remember when we first talked about it, it's like, what difference does it make if it's money making or not? Of course, it makes a big difference. Am I going to sit there for 2 hours and work on something that costs me money, or am I going to work on something for half an hour that's going to make me money? I think I'd rather do the latter.
Exactly. And I think it's a good reminder to actually do the money making task because, I didn't think about it. I was always like, oh, at least I'm getting something done, right? But the minute I changed my mindset to, ooh, you have got to try to do a money making, money generating task every day. Like, it's amazing. It's like when we get to the promotion spreadsheet and you talk about, oh, I just measured what promotions did for, you know what I mean? So that, like, it's amazing how much different your business looks when you do put a focus on, I'm going to do things that will generate income daily, And so,
And I think, like, overview of this,
mhm,
you'll feel better about it if you start doing that, because the
mhm,
numbers will change drastically and you'll be like, oh yeah, I
mhm.
see the difference.
And I also love that you can see where you're spending your time, because if you're going, okay, well, why am I not earning the income I did the year before? Or why am I not earning, the income that, like this other author is earning? Well, the difference could be in the fact that maybe you're not sending newsletters or you're not sharing on social media, or that you spend a really long time writing this epic novel and it's going to take you a little longer to get to the publishing and part or whatever. So these are all things to keep in mind. And when you can see where your attention's going and where you're putting your effort and what your focus is on, that it makes a lot of sense. So
Yeah.
all of that. And then of course, this was the one.
Yeah.
This one was like shots fired. Okay.
Yeah, it was a big thing.
Because when you
I
put
know.
On your to-do
Okay.
list. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. It keeps, so I think, yeah, okay. The to-do list, finding out that everything I was doing was, it's an urgent matter, urgent matter, urgent matter. Yeah. Yeah. Um, so go ahead.
Well, mine's the same. It was
Mhm.
like last minute, oh my God, I should have done this, I shouldn't have done that. And then, because we want to see what we've done, we put it onto the sheet, but then you put it as an urgent, and then everything's on fire. It's
Mhm.
because that's what we were talking, wasn't it? That we were firefighting rather than being, what's the word?
We weren't exactly being proactive. And part of it was we realized when we get to the to-do list, you'll understand that you prioritize everything on the list. Okay. And what happens is you realize that you're either overscheduling yourself, which means you need to reevaluate, am I doing too much? Am I wasting my time? Like where's my energy going? Am I doing the wrong things? And I think that once you are able to look at things like your time management, how you're spending your day, and determine that, okay, maybe I've set unrealistic goals for myself because I thought I had more time.
Yeah.
Maybe something has happened. Yeah, case in point, like for example, a lot of parents right now have been experiencing these winters where there's a lot of school days that are schools out. And when you're used to having the time to write and your writing time is gone because now all of a sudden, you're entertaining, the kids or keeping them busy or, whatever, there's too much noise. It makes a difference. Yeah.
And there's other germs around as well, and you're getting sick. And sometimes you just can't focus on what you need to do. So, you're pulled away, and all that, trying to get better. You go to the doctors, and it's all time where you were supposed to be doing something, and then all of a sudden you're not. So that's when you come along with the things.
I know it's wild. It's always amazing to me. I've noticed that December felt like a total wash because here in the US, a lot of us are trying to get a bunch of medical stuff done before the insurance changes over for the next year or whatever. And so December was nothing but doctor's appointments and lab visits, and it's wild. So anyway, yeah.
That's it.
So we put these things toward the front because these are areas that you may want to just glance at very, very quickly. Keep in mind everything on here, you can reorder it, drag it and drop it, put it in any logical order for you, whatever makes sense to you. Um, so for example, with having two dashboards right here, if you know that you're only going to keep one dashboard that is the one that you're going to use, then move the other one and get it out of the way. Like just go, drag it and drop it to the end. And that's easy enough for you to do. But one of our recommendations is that you start out by laying out your goals. And this part, once it loads,
Mhm.
I was like, okay. Um,
Yeah.
this part right here, where it says 2024, this is where the first dashboard gathers its information. So you really need to fill this out right away for that dashboard to work and decide, what your word count goal is going to be, what the number of books published is, and then the income goal. Realizing, of course, that that some of this may come from playing around with the writing plan that's a little deeper into this. So, work with that a bit at a time, working with the writing stuff first, and then you'll be able to figure out how many books you're going to publish and all of that stuff and set logical income.
If you have, for example, you put your income goal at 50,000, and in September you're coming up to your 50,000, you can just change it here,
Mm.
and or you can leave it, and then it will say plus be 120%. It's entirely up to you.
Mhm.
And the word count goal, I think, for a lot of us is, yeah, I can type a million words, or I can do 600,000. And then when you actually sit down and start writing, you're like, okay, maybe not. I need to change that, because you don't realize how realistic it is when we talked about the time blocking. We talk about, how many days do you actually have available to write.
Mhm.
That number can come down significantly.
Mhm.
And there are a lot of full-time writers out there who would, meet that kind of goal. And then there's people who work as well and have the families that can't meet that goal. So set something that's more realistic for you.
Mhm.
I-
And a fun little exercise might be to fill this in initially and then go do the other parts and then come back and go, I may want to
Oh,
re-examine this. Okay. And
yeah.
honestly, this is all designed for pivoting. Christine and I call ourselves the pivot queens. Okay. We have weathered the market for many, many years. And we know that we there's, we don't believe that there's win or lose. It's win or learn. Okay. And so if things are not going the way that you anticipated, I mean, call a plot twist, just call it a plot twist and, whip around and figure out how you're going to adjust and adapt to the new situation that you're facing. And part of doing that is when you do things with the goals, for example, and you do realistic breakdowns on how you're going to make these goals happen, because this is one of the key differences in whether or not you can achieve goals. So the way this is designed, and you probably noticed me touching the plus and minus signs over here, that is so that you don't have to get overwhelmed looking at everything. You can hide it, and then you can open and work with what you want to work with. And for over here, so you set like some personal goals for the month and author goals and other goals, and it could be things like we are finally going to remodel the hall bathroom or whatever it could be in the house, right? Or maybe it is we're going to take that trip to the Grand Canyon this year or whatever. Okay. So, if you're doing a goal like that, it's simple. It's, like I'm going to find a hotel. I'm going to figure out how we're going to drive there. We're going to, like however it is, you're going to make that goal happen. But, author goals, a lot of times when we say that we're going to write a book, that the goal for that month is, publish this book, right? You can feel like you have accomplished almost nothing if you say publish a book. But that's
Yeah.
because you haven't kept track of all the many pieces in there and given yourself credit for that. So when you break it down, it's like, well, I have to write it first, which means writing X number of words a day. I have to edit and I have to revise and I have to send it to, send it to the editor, schedule the editor to send it to the editor, like all these little pieces in there that you forget. And so when you feel like you're not doing anything, it's probably because you're not giving yourself credit. So please be sure to do that.
I have to say, I remember when we were doing the to-do list before we created our own, and we were doing our separate ones, and then we came together and said, well, I like this part and I like this part, and we kind of combined it and then added more to it. I used to think to myself, why is Nicole putting down every part of what she did to create this one thing? It was a task list. And I thought, why is she doing that? Is that to make it look like she was really, really busy? And then I didn't get it for a while. And then when I started doing it myself, I got it, because it gives you recognition for what you've done, rather than like exactly like that. Why you don't publish a book? But it's everything in between. And it felt good to give myself recognition for those things that I had done.
Mhm.
So like you, I would go in maybe afterwards and put them in to say I'd done them, because I'd
Mhm.
forget. But when you break them down at the beginning, it makes it so much easier to
Yeah,
remember everything.
I think for me, the mindset part of it was what helped because I would think to myself, well, I spent all morning and all I managed to do was send a newsletter or something. And I wasn't, it took a minute to click. Like, why is it taking me 3 hours to send a newsletter? Well, I had to plan the content and then I had to get the graphics and then I had to get the links and then I had to write the copy. And then you know what I mean? And then you have to put it all together. And when you suddenly look at it like that, it's all you go, oh, well, that's why it took
Yeah.
so long. Because otherwise it just sounds like, oh, I sent a newsletter. And that's
If you in your schedule, you put 1 hour send newsletter,
Mhm.
it takes longer than that if you don't have everything ready.
Mhm.
So, before that, you should have prepare newsletter stuff. Like I have prepare payroll, because that takes me about an hour. And then the next day on payroll day is run payroll.
Mhm.
Because if I had to get it together and run it, yes, it would take too long.
Yeah.
So, no, I think we do underestimate the time a lot as
Mhm.
people.
Mhm.
A lot of things are actually going to take.
Yes. So honestly, try doing it this way. Try breaking down each goal into all the little pieces and components for a couple of reasons. One, so you don't forget any, and also so that you don't at the end of the month think, I did nothing. I accomplished nothing. Because even if you don't quite make it to, because let's be realistic. Sometimes the missing a deadline isn't even your fault. It's not because you didn't get the book written. Maybe it's because the editor returned it to you too late. And, and so, or maybe it's because the cover designer didn't send you the final file, or maybe it's because, like all these components have to work together synergistically so that you can do the one thing that you said you were going to do. And sometimes things are out of control.
Before you move on, sorry, will you go back up to the top one and just press the plus on it for me, please?
I had already clicked on the stupid tab. I'm sorry. Give me just 1 second. All right. So on the which one?
Goals.
On the
So
goal.
if you just, yeah, so this is where we get the information for the books.
Mhm.
So when you put your type here, I'm pressing the thing here.
All right. Yeah.
So when you're putting in 15 books, you may not know what they type, but what they are, but you'll have understanding what part of their series. You can just put their titles down there. So when you've done all the things and you've actually published it and you click yes, the checkbox, that is where we got the information for on the 2024 dashboard. So that is a key point that you must put in there when you publish a book, the name of the book and tick it, and then it will take it as a percentage of the number that you've done at the top to feed the dashboard.
Yes.
Go on the word count goal, they can just say that you don't need anything underneath it.
Exactly.
It's just that one is the only one that will need to pull from that part.
And I'm so glad you told me to do this because I would have forgotten otherwise. You know that, right? So the thing is this, please don't get intimidated by the fact that it says 20. We realize that everybody writes books of different lengths. Some people write strictly novellas. And if you write strictly novellas, then yes, it is possible for you to publish potentially, 20 books, a year. Other people write books that are 100,000 words. And so therefore, when, don't feel badly if you're only publishing 4 books a year because you're still writing a gajillion words. So, and don't compare yourself to others anyway, because that's just setting yourself up for misery. Just, compete with yourself to, push yourself to do the best you possibly can. Now, the social media manager page. A lot of these pages are designed with the idea that you can share this whole plan with a VA if you would like, or even share just particular pages with a VA by by giving them access or to the whole thing, whatever you're comfortable with, make it work. But you can have a VA fill in things like your monthly numbers for you so that you can see the chart and see where the growth is happening. You can lay out information within here so that the VA can then come in here and go, oh, today I have to post about this, right? And they will have the information they need, because you can set up, the day of the week, what the plan is going to be. There's a drop down for the various content ideas. And then, when they send the newsletter, they check this. When they post things, they check on the blog and the Facebook page, all of the different places that you want things done. And it's a great place to kind of organize and ensure that you're getting those aspects of your career managed.
Definitely. And it reminds you to do it.
Exactly. This, I got to tell you, was one of my favorite things that we made this year. And do you know why?
Because it's just everything.
Because the newsletters, I mean, how many of us struggle with getting a newsletter done, right?
Yeah.
So this is, I believe it's 38 separate emails for your author career. So you have the welcome sequence, which is your initial automation that you're going to set up in there. You've got a re-engagement sequence for those of us who may have failed to send an email for a while. Okay, like, hey, remember me? The new release sequence for when you're sending a new release, preparing for the new release, sale or promo sequences. You've got the pre-order sequence, the freebie sequence. If you have a shop and you've got new merch in it, you can, set that up. And then there's bonus emails for things like holidays, Black Friday, conversation like, have you read this? You met a milestone, you want to thank them for it. And, like you're sharing a bonus or deleted scene. Now, I would have never done anything this brilliant without Christine. Okay. So first of all,
I would have never done anything so pretty without you.
we're quite the team. So what I love about this is we can keep it neat looking, right? But we have everything we need in here. Because for this, for example, you click on the key points part where there's the little black triangle. This pulls up the key points. And so you know the overview is this is you're going to thank the readers for their support, wish them a happy holiday season. When you're looking for subject lines, here's, like happy holidays or counting my blessings and you're on the list, there's different things that you can do with that. And then the email template right here, you just literally copy and paste it and personalize it. And it just gives you a jumping off point for every kind of email that you could potentially need. And, and if you are creative and you want to add to it, guess what? You can do that too, because there's more space. If you have emails that you love and you want to, put in there, you could do the very same thing and just very much personalize it to your needs.
Yeah. I just think I'm not a newsletter sender, and I'm trying to get into doing more newsletters, and this is definitely going to make it so much easier. And setting up workflows is a great way to do things as well, using these in your email provider. And I just think it's such a great thing to do. I love it.
And for people who are, wondering, what do I do for content all the time? Well, there's 52 weeks in a year and you've got 38 emails here to start from. So this is a pretty strong start to, all the various aspects of ensuring that you are able to send regular newsletters. Now, this is the page I spend a ton of time on because it is my brand. Okay. I know it looks like there's a lot of brand colors in here. A couple reasons. Maybe you have multiple brands because you have multiple pen names. You can either, make a copy of this because you're going to need it for the password part, or, you can just add in like all the colors, various places. Also, you can keep track of the fonts that you use. You can keep track of special links for like logos and website images and, disclosures. And this is super useful because I swear, if I didn't have this, like this is how I track all of my different, very, very quickly and share with my VAs and everything too, who I ask them to do things for me. It makes it easier if they can get in there, and don't need me every minute.
Oh, before you go,
Yes.
will you do me a favor? Can you just show them how to get what the rectangle is for above the hex code? If it's not filled in, then they may or may not be aware of one.
For example,
Like you just copy one of yours in.
yeah. So of course I need to change. Okay. So here is like my branding page, right? This is what mine look like. I start out by, like snagging my hex code. I go over here. I click inside the box. And then up here in the fill color, I just hit the plus sign and I paste the hex code in there. And then I hit OK. And then it puts the color in. And then here, I just paste. And then all of a sudden the hex code's there. And then in the future, when I need it for, say, Drive card or building a web page or, whatever the case may be, I can just very quickly and easily copy and paste from here. All right. So hopefully that helps.
I just wanted people to know what the bigger one part of that is, because most people know what the hex code is. But no, it's very helpful. And like we go into them on yours and ours, and you look at the colors and you go, oh, which one do I like, which for this and that. So no, it's definitely a good thing. I don't spend as much time with mine as you do in yours, but when I do need the information, it's there on hand.
This was life-changing for me because before then I was bouncing all over the place back to Canva and all over. It was awful. So this was life-changing. The to-do list. Okay. So the to-do list is quite possibly, it might just be my favorite thing. Okay. Because I like feeling like I've accomplished something. Okay. Productivity for like with my ADHD brain, I have to feel like I'm getting things done. And this helped me organize it. Now, you're going to see where it says very clearly, don't change certain things. Please don't, because if you do, it's going to mess up the ability for the information to populate over on the dashboard. But there are lots of things that you can change. So for example, like your team, you can add all your team people in here. So, you could add your editor, you could add, because some of you have multiple editors. And if you're trying to track which editor you're sending something to, or which cover designer you're working with, or which, you may have a VA and a social media manager, you can track, you can put all the people in here. All right. And doesn't it feel good to be like, yeah, I got this done because I got it assigned.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, the project name. So you could do the book name. You could make it a newsletter task. You can call it, like kind of whatever you want to just keep track of what you're doing. But the categories are fantastic because it helps you figure out where your time is going. The priority is great because you're able to sort things. So if, for example, you're like, okay, I've got 15 minutes, what's the most important thing I have to get done? Then you click on this, you sort it A to Z, and you can pick out which one the high, like see the high ones and do those, get those done. Is there anything else that you really loved about this one?
Are you serious?
Well, I love that you have the due date. I mean, it's a click and you just, click and you pick your due
Hang
date.
on, hang on, hang on, hang on.
Go for it.
What is the most important part of this spreadsheet?
The
The most important part of this spreadsheet.
My favorite thing about it, the reason we did this entirely was because, again, ADHD brain, I would get overwhelmed with a huge, huge list. And like, yeah, I would cross things off, but I would cross things off and it would just be cluttered. It'd be cluttered. And then I wouldn't visit it or use it because it was just this huge, long, overwhelming list.
And that's what we didn't tell them what to do on this page before you clicked into the next one. I was getting worried you were going to forget about that one.
I was going to bounce back because I love the cheat sheet, but no, explain. Yes, explain.
Oh my gosh, she's keeping out the best part.
Mm-hmm. So the
yeah,
what we love, and the reason I was going to click over to the cheat sheet is this. With the cheat sheet, one of the things I realized very, very quickly was my frustration with the fact that I was constantly writing the same tasks over and over and over again. So if there's a task that you do all the time and it's broken down into steps, then you can put it over here on this page, and then you're able to copy and paste it into the to-do list part. For example, like the social media. You can literally just go like this, copy it, right? And then go back over to the to-do list, assuming your internet cooperates. And then you just start right over here and you hit paste, right? And then it puts the whole thing in, okay? Did I miss a column?
like we did.
Oh, that's right, because of the done. I forgot the date done. We added that later. All right, so it's okay, because undo is a thing. All right, and so the thing is that what you can do is you can just make it so that you copy and paste it into here, and you don't have to keep writing it over and over again, because I got tired of that real fast, real fast. So the cheat sheet will let you organize things by like weekly tasks, by monthly tasks, and by annual tasks, so that you can literally sit down and have like lay out the steps to the things that you do every year or the things you do every month, and then assign them. I love the fact that I can just set this up, put Steph, like mark it for Steph. She will come in on a daily basis, see what needs to be done, and just do it. I don't have to waste all my time going, hey, Steph, can you do this? Hey, Steph, can you do that? No, she just does it behind the scenes because I've assigned it. Okay. It was life-changing.
It is indeed.
And then this part, you may want to track the date you got it done, which was the change that we made that we were like, oh yeah, we gotta do that, right? So say that, you got it done today or whatever. And then my favorite part, you click done, and then it disappears. So that as you're doing things, you feel a sense of accomplishment because it disappears. Okay.
And it's overwhelming to look at it with a list of everything done, mixed in with a list of things to do.
Exactly. Exactly. Because after a while, you're like, wait a minute, even though it's checked off, it's still on here and it's too much. It doesn't disappear to where you'll never ever see it again. At the very end over here, there is a completed list that you are able to look at and work with. I'm going to pull it up for just a second because there's something else that I do over here. And I think, do you do it too, Christine? Do you like, or not? I don't know if you were like doing this. like the beauty of this
Oh,
is, yes.
yeah.
Mhm. So even this, if I was going back to check on things or whatever, and I also like to know, how much did, summer months, sometimes I don't get a ton of stuff done. Okay. But, sometimes I'm just like playing totally beyond myself and I want to see like how much did we actually accomplish this month? And you can literally group things together so that everything that's July, you could, compile it and compress it and put a label in there that says July by adding a row. And then the next thing you know that these are all the July tasks and these are all the, because at the end of the year, you really may care about this, what you were able to do each month. We couldn't quite work that out to a monthly graph. That was why. That was the difference, and so for me, that's how I kind of was sorting it. All right. Now that kind of brings us, I think, to the publishing and marketing, which,
Yes,
all right, there's a lot to say here.
there is a lot to say. I love this sheet because I use it for the writing plan part of it. So I would list down by pen name
Mhm.
the books, and then I think you went in the other day and you highlighted, like, it would take me 3 weeks, so you highlight 3 boxes
Mhm.
and you put them in one color, and then it would show me what I'm supposed to be writing, and then what am I releasing on the dates that I'm releasing. When do I need to mark it for my new release and all of that kind of stuff. And it just kind of put everything into perspective that, okay, so this week I'm writing XYZ, I'm releasing this one, and I'm promoting this one, or there's a sale on this one. And it just kind of helped me to put everything in, particularly the writing part of it. That was the one big thing I got out of the form. The writing plan and the new release dates are the two that I use the most on this one.
Mhm.
And I just find it so useful because, somebody says, can you join this anthology? You go, yeah. And you go and look and you go, actually, no, I've got something on every month this year. I can't do it. I physically can't write anymore. There's no room. They're all blocked off.
Mhm.
And, it gives you better kind of an idea, more of an idea of what you have to do and what you need to do.
I like the visual. I'm not gonna lie, I like the visual aspect of it because that helped me to stop overbooking myself.
Yeah.
Okay. When I could see that it was going to take me like this is 5 weeks, right? But when I could see that it was going to take me 6 weeks to write that novel, okay, and that meant that I really, because like you think, oh yeah, and then I'll just publish it. You can't though, because it's got to get edited and it's got to get formatted and it's like all the different things, and then you're like, oh, actually, I'm not going to release that now until here, or whatever the case may be, or even here sometimes, depending on what's going on, and so this works seamlessly together. You have spots here so that, again, pen names, or,
Yeah.
potentially if you decide what, like this is my ideal writing plan, this is my dream writing plan, and this is if my whole world goes belly up plan. Okay. Um, you're also able to, once you see where you're going to publish, you put in the publishing dates on here, right? And then that helps because then you drop down to the marketing part and you're like, okay, well, I've got this book releasing here. So I'm going to run sales here to support it. And I'm going to work on this part of the backlist here to support it and all of this. And it helps you to lay out and make sure that you know what you are promoting, your freebies, your sales, your backlist. And then when you see, oh, I am offering this freebie here, well, cool. Now you know what you're going to write about in your blog post and what you're going to share in your newsletter and what's going to go on your Facebook pages and group. And so it just all works seamlessly together to give you an overall visual of what's going on, that then this translates into, oh, cool. So now I'm going to run over here and I'm going to put this note in the social media manager that this is what's going on specifically, that kind of thing. So I found that to be, super useful. Christine even added additional things in here. On hers, for example, she does a lot of signings. So she added a whole section on signings and events and things like that. You can adapt and adjust this to match your life, however your life looks.
Another one that you can do, you might say, well, I only want to do 2 a year, or 3 a year, list them out because we all forget about them. You
Oh
forget
yeah.
which ones you know what I mean? And then you've signed up for too many. My life right now.
Back when I was doing signings and going places, I remember having to say, Sam, by the way, I forgot, but next month we're going to Pennsylvania. And he was like, what, why are we going to Pennsylvania? Yeah, this is why. So yeah, those kinds of things. Because like you said, I forgot. Project status. I love the project status page because
Yes, go
again,
on.
how many of you forget all the different aspects of all of the parts of what's going on? And again, we try to put it in a way that was both would help you to see all the different parts that you're handling in the pre-writing, the pre-publishing, and then the actual publishing and marketing, where you can even add all the detail stuff. Because, you know, you already have, maybe you already have a plan for that particular book, and you've got to be able to go find the concept, or, you know, reach out to whoever, like all these different little pieces of information that you're tracking. Maybe you need to give yourself the deadline for when you're going to get your edits done. Maybe you need to, you know, keep track of who is beta reading it, like all of the different little pieces of information you can put in here. I know there's more blocks than you probably need, and you can delete if you want. I just like to be able to write whatever I want to write in there and not have to worry about not having enough space. I figure, you know, especially because we can, you know, scrunch it up like this. And again, there's 12 projects in here. I realized we made it so that you could do 20 books for the year. It's really, really easy to duplicate all this. To just make a copy and then paste it, make a copy and paste it is very, very simple to do this. But again, if you really would like help with that, we are available for some customization. Which brings us to your backlist. We just talked about this yesterday.
Yes, we did just talk about this yesterday, and it's one of those you love to hate it, but you need it. Kind of form. Like I remember looking at this and thinking, oh my God, I've got like 90 odd books, and how am I going to do it? But I took one of my days and I went through it, and you know, I have mine as everything by pen name, grouped so that I can close it down.
Yep.
And you know, I took the time to put the KU end dates, and it helped me so much with my promotions because I wasn't using my free days at all. And it was only when I started putting them in, I was like, hang on a minute, I've got 5 days here that I can use. And you know, if a promo comes along, you can say, right, let me see, what can I use? Which one haven't I done already? And it grew. Mine's like a monster one, but you know, it's difficult to do if you've already got loads of books out there. But then as long as you keep it up with every book that you do, it's easy. It makes it so much easier. And you have,
and if you have a VA, then this is an easy thing for you to assign to somebody else, for somebody else to do. It's easy to have them go in and keep track of the reviews, and to, you know, like, sure, they probably can't do the tropes part. You know, this will come down to, you know, you laying out some of the tropes or whatever. But if they can do the bulk of it to make it easier on you, then fantastic. It makes it so much simpler in the long run. And then when,
sorry, I know we talked yesterday, and for those of you who aren't part of the membership, we touched on the number of reviews. Okay, so like a lot of the time you'll say, oh, I need to get 100 reviews before I release, or you know, how many reviews? Oh my God, they've got 160,000 reviews. You know, reviews are important. And you know, so what we were saying here was, so if you put in the first column there, and you say the first row, and you say, okay, I've got 665 reviews, it would be great to be able to hyperlink that to a doc which has, or even another spreadsheet on here, by series, by book, and a link to the reviews that your VA can do for you, and keep it up to date with all the reviews, so you can go in and use it for your social posts. And yes, it's a pain to do it now at this stage, but if you start doing it going forward, it's going to be so much easier. And you know, it's a really important part of your marketing as well.
Yes, it is.
Sorry, that was just something we thought of yesterday.
Yeah, no, that was really, really good. So again, you know, and like if you can even get the your VA to put in KU end dates if you're in KU. All of these things will help make your life easier. Having this all filled out makes your life easier in the end. Now, this used to be a bunch of pages and it wasn't nearly as awesome as it is now, but Christine had made some changes to hers and then we implemented and integrated and just improved upon this. Go for it.
I feel like I'm on my soapbox. Yeah, I got the Book World Domination years and years ago, and the promotion page was the one that I at first was like, when am I going to use that? And then I started doing the Love Kiss promotions, and I started using these forms, and they were on. They included like their promotion name, pen name, what is being promoted.
Mhm.
Are you promoting your Facebook or your book bubble, whatever it was?
Mhm.
And then we have the dates. So then what I did was I'd color code them. So for Chrissy, I would do them in pink, and then for Callie, they'd be in red, so that I knew, which are part of the logos, by the way, just so that I knew what they were.
Mhm.
And I could see then at what point in the month I had the promotions running. So again, similar to the other ones that we've done on the promotions and stuff, for me, it's a very visual piece of spreadsheet, this one, because I see the color blocks.
Mhm.
So what I had done, again, obviously you've got your pen name, so I did them in different colors. But then when I was talking to Nicole, we were talking about this, and I went, well, actually, this is what I do with mine. But how can we improve it? Well, as I said to you, you have this is perfect, but how can I make it better?
Mhm.
So that by, yes, click. Some of them, they want you to do a newsletter. Some of them it's Facebook, some of them it's TikTok. So for us, it was like, okay, so I'm going to share this on Facebook. So you tick it, and then, your VA can go in and do the sharing. All the
Mhm.
information is there. And I used to give it to my VA, and she would sign up for the deals, and she would have the backlist page, and she would say to me, okay, I recommend we do these this month. And I'd be, okay, yeah, that sounds good for me. So it's a very interactive, you can give it to your VA if you want to, or do it yourself. But for me, when it comes around, it says, okay, we're doing this promotion this week. I go here and I know exactly what it is. Have I done have I, used changed it to free? What have I got doing? Is there a price associated? Is it free? What am I doing? I can find it all here.
Yep, exactly.
And at the beginning of the month, or whenever you do your planning days, which I do mine on the last Friday in the month now, for the
Mhm.
next month, I can go and fill this in for the month.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
then if something comes along in the month, then you go, actually, yeah, I can do that.
Mhm.
You know, you do all the stacking, and I don't really understand that. Well, I do actually, but when you stack your promotions to make them more impactful as well,
Mhm. Yes.
it's not an opportunity to do that.
Yeah, it's, some of it is, of course, feeding the algorithms, but yeah, it's also what I found most helpful was when I could see gaps. When you're wondering why things are slower, gee, my numbers are, they're just kind of creeping along. It's sometimes it's because you don't have anything going on. If you're not sharing, if you're not promoting, if you're not doing any of that, then oh yeah. So
The
the
flip side, if you see a big rise, and then you go, oh, I don't know, I did loads of promotions, I don't know which one. You can go here and see which one is around that date.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. So you know what to do more of, what to do less of, where to put your efforts and everything. So I found that to be super, super helpful.
as
Um,
you can all tell, I use this spreadsheet all the time, every day.
yes. And you can still, like, again, you can add in lines if you're doing a ton of promos for a ton of different books. You can very easily add in lines. It's just a matter of going, like you can do this and then you hit insert and then you do rows. And because I have 5 rows selected, it will add 5 rows. So that is very, very easy to do. And again, and you don't have to look at it forever because when you're done, you can just close it. So all of that doesn't have to be overwhelming. All right. The sprint sheet. This is the sheet that is perfect for helping you figure out your writing plan for the year. Okay. We improved by adding 2 versions this year. All right. There is a version for like working with a starting and ending word count for your sprint sessions. for people who aren't going to, lay out the numbers for every single sprint session. They may do 10 a day and they're just like, this is the number I had when I started. This is the number I had that's good enough. Okay. And then there are other people who really want to, very data-driven people who like to know, how many words did I write each sprint? Was I getting better? Was I getting worse? Is it, am I wasting time by forcing too many sprint sessions, that kind of thing. So depending upon which person you are, there is a sprint page for you. Okay. The other important part is this, the forward engineering your writing plan for the year. When we talked about, you go in, I skipped right over the time blocking page, but because I was so excited about the dashboards. All right. So when you're doing the time management page, what I love about this, and I know how it happened, you go in and you figure out how many, you block your day out. Okay, so I've got to drive the kids to school here. I've got to pick the kids up from school here. I've got to, go to my job here. And then I'm cooking dinner. And so you think that you're going to write all these words for the day and you realize you don't have any time for writing until 8 o'clock at night, maybe. Okay.
Yeah.
So these are the things that will help you figure out how many hours you truly have and then what you can do with them. Because sadly, even then, it's not like your time is always entirely your own. Sometimes you have spouses who want to spend time with you.
Yes.
Sometimes you bring work home and you have projects that you have to, like these kinds of things, right? So all of that. But when you get over here to the sprinting page, you're able to put in things like, how many days a week do I really have to write? How many words am I going to write on that day? And, that means how many words, so you can say to yourself, I want to get 500,000 words this year. But if you find out that you only have one day a week to do the writing and that you're maybe max like writing 2,000 words a day, then that's not going to happen. And to try to convince yourself otherwise is only going to set yourself up to be miserable and feel defeated and therefore break down the whole rest of your plan. So it's,
you don't want to, over promise and underachieve. It has to be a realistic goal. So like you said earlier on, you might fill it in here, but after you've done this part, you might go back and change that figure.
Because we all went through that stage. Well, those of us who've been in the writing, who've been writing any length of time, went through the rapid release plans. Some people are very successful with that and do really well. Some people wrote themselves into burnout, okay? Because we tried to do way more than we should have been doing because we didn't take into account the important things like I have a family and, family expectations. I have, it could be that some people have pets that are sick. I mean, I've seen people who are spending so much time at the vet with their pets and, just don't have as much time to devote to writing as they thought. So you can pivot and you can also start by setting realistic goals using this. All right. And then you can also lay out the plan. When you figure out what books, you can also put in here the information to help you figure out when you're going to actually end the project if you're doing it the way that you have planned, that you're writing 3 days a week and that the project is a 50,000 word project and your daily writing goal is 5,000 words. It's going to take you 10 days to write it, which is 3.3 weeks, and it'll do all that. And then from there you'll be able to set realistic publishing dates and everything too. Did you want to explain this one or did you want it?
This one is the other way around, I think. So in this one, you're putting in so you put in the start date and finish date. Yeah. So where you so this is like for me, for example, I had a 35K that I need to write in the first 2 weeks of January. So I would put that in and I would put 35,000 words, but I would actually put in, okay, so how many days do I have? And then divide the 35 by however many days I have and put it in my project word count. Oh no, sorry. Yeah, how many days I've got and the project word count. And it will then give me the number of the daily word goal, the number of writing days, and the number of weeks it would take.
Mm-hmm.
I get confused with the two, sorry.
This was the one that we designed because we would go, oh, sure, I can join that anthology, no problem. And then we would go, oh no, and realize, all right, well, but I already have this other publishing date set. So now, because I just spent 3 weeks on this other project and I only have this date to this date to get it done. And, like, what do I have to do? how many, like what's my daily word goal because of that. That was the biggest part, like realizing all of a sudden you've got to write,
Yeah.
so many words, per month or per day or whatever. And then this is in here. Again, this one is designed for people who want to track all their sprints, but you put the monthly goal in, your daily word goal, and it will help you calculate, how many words you have left for the month and where you are for the year and all of that for each month. Okay. And again, you can open and close those.
Yeah, I use that all the time. So whenever I do a sprint, I go in and fill it in.
Mm-hmm. You're
And
so
sometimes you're surprised when you see what you've done over the month. You're like, oh, actually, I didn't do too bad.
exactly. So that, when it does help when you realize how much better you did. This is just an organizational page. When you're tired of searching for all your Canva links, you put them in here.
And what would you use the campaigns for? Do you mean for
Oh, so if that. All right. So let's say you make reels or on Canva, or you have like these new release graphics that you use and just repurpose, or you have like this is where you find your Canva templates for testimonials or the various things. It's easier because mine gets full. Mine gets so full and packed, and so it's just easier to put the project, what the file name is, and put that in. It's not just for you.
exactly, yeah.
Mhm.
I'd say it's handy for whoever you want to delegate it to, whether it's your VA or your graphics designer.
Mhm.
If they come to you and go, oh well, do you have any reels, or do you have? Yep, here you go. Yeah, or you could even do like when you've done social media posts for a specific book, you can put it by book and then the link to the file that has all of those books. Again, that is superb for your VAs as well, so that they can maybe go in and tweak something if they need to put a date or something has to be done. It makes it so much easier and so much more organized.
Right. I'm gonna let you do this. This is your favorite sheet, I think. Quite possibly.
I think I've done lots of talking today. Okay, so we spent a lot of time on this because we were kind of like, what information do we need to know? And while we were doing it, I was like, oh my God. So this tells me my currency in books. Okay. So instead of saying it's going to cost you $50 to buy that cover, I can go down here and say, okay, so this cover is $125, which means I've got to sell 357 books at $199. I've got to sell 181 at $299.
Mhm.
And I have to sell 24 at $399, etc., etc., etc. So for us, this was fascinating, and sometimes you go, oh yeah, sure, I can afford that. It's only $100 or $120 where the beta read is. But actually, you're going to sell 343 ebooks at that price.
Yes.
And, that's not an easy feat, really, for some people. So this kind of put everything into perspective for me. And I just love this sheet. And I just think it really gives you a moment to stop and think rather than, yeah, I'm going to buy that because, whatever. And then you're going to go, actually, no, I have to make sure in my marketing that I'm going to sell 429 books so I can pay for the proofreading. And do we have, is there a total one at the bottom of each one? Yes, there is.
So yes.
Yeah, so it tells you there, this is what you were paying, and this is how many books you need to sell to make that money. And I think for me, it was just an eye opener, and I was like, yeah, our currency is books, and that's where that kind of came from. That we loved it when we were doing it, and it was just so interesting. Now we got the figures obviously from Amazon. So if it is with anybody else, obviously you can change. There is formula in there. But those are the pricing that we got from Amazon. So if it's different with somebody else, then you can go and change the formulas if you know how to do that.
There's your new release cost, but there's also your monthly costs. And so the monthly break even is the same way. When you're looking at your monthly expenses, you may say, oh, well, it's only costing me $2,000 a month to be an author because of, all these different things. but you have to make sure that you're selling enough books to cover all of that. And so that's what this helps with, reminding you of all the places your money is going and how much, how many books you have to sell to, be profitable or break even.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because numbers.
It's an eye-opener. It really is an eye-opener. But I just love your currency as books because it explains the whole thing.
Yes.
It is one of my favorites, yes. Actually, there's a few
favorites. So we did two basic versions of the sales report. Again, broken down, you saw over there because of, are you going to look at everything as a whole? Are you going to look at everything broken down by pen names? And so that was kind of, and again, like the road to the goal is, so say you want to do 50,000, your goal is I'm going to earn 50,000 from my author career this year. How much does that translate to monthly? How many, books do you have to sell like to get those numbers at the different price points? Okay. And it is eye-opening to realize that, and keep in mind, this doesn't even take the delivery fees. We had to go with the most basic because delivery fees are also based on how heavy your book is, and we can't predict that. Some of you do really, really gorgeous interiors that are really super fancy, which may make them heavier and therefore cost more to deliver. So that is all stuff to take into consideration that was beyond our capabilities. But again, you're going to go ahead and you're going to put in here every single month your income, your expenses, and it is going to calculate that and put it all together for you on the front page. You will overall have to adjust and put like the exact numbers because like we said, we can't calculate, the fees, additional fees that Amazon will be, taking kind of thing, or the other platforms, what additional fees they would be taking as well. But this definitely helps you break it down and give you a sense of, where's your money going? Where's it, coming from kind of thing. And this, if you're doing multiple pen names, then, down here, we have one for like, there's a sheet for pen name 1, pen name 2, and pen name 3. So
and they all dashboard.
Yes, and they all feed to the dashboard number 2 for version 2, dashboard 2. These are just a couple of organizational sheets to help over here. The concept hoard for people who purchase concepts. Sometimes it's easy to forget what you've purchased. I do things like that all the time. So this will help you to organize that and keep track of that. And whether or not you used it. Also something I forget.
Yeah, me too.
Especially with the covers. The covers can get a little out of control. So, because I love
I'm a cover whore. That's my problem.
I really am. Yes. But you can keep track of the pre-made image, the name for it, who designed it, the date you purchased it, if you have a plan for it and when you use it. So all of that important information.
And again, it's time consuming to do it now if you have already got some in your arsenal. But once you go forward and you buy something, pop it straight in there.
This is the glossary that goes with the Ultimate Interactive Author to-do list. And if you're wondering what certain things on there mean, this will help, explain what our idea of urgent and high, medium, low, and someday is, things like the categories, how we break things down, the delegating, how to use that, and, the focus goals. So hopefully this just kind of demystifies part of that for you. There's a glossary also for the social media management part where it lays out, in the drop-down menu there, what each of those things is so that you know how to use it and maximize the use of it. Reminding you things like on Saturday shares, share another author you love, have a group of friends, cross promote, do things like this to, encourage your growth. Which brings us also to the expense glossary, because this was really, really hard for people. You like the bank on fire at the top? Yeah. So your expenses. All right. This is how to classify your expenses, your the covers, the breakdown for every single thing. And hopefully that will help you when you're figuring out where to list things, how to organize it. And yes, it goes on because the expenses do as well. So all of this, keep in mind, this happens every year, and I have to tell people, you cannot 1099 businesses for services they do for you, they don't work for you. You can 1099 your VA. You can 1099 your potentially your social media manager, unless you hire them through a company. If they work for you personally, that you can do. But every year as a business, people would try to 1099 Lovekist. Businesses are already paying their taxes through doing that part. You can't do that. You're gonna mess it up and like get them double taxed, and we don't do that. So, all right. Now, this is where, like we said, where the completed is. And then we have like some helpful things at the end. If you want more, like you really, really love this product and you're thinking, I wonder if they have anything else that I could use. Well, check out our shop. And if you think, holy cow, my friend author Susie would really love this, then you can become an affiliate and share and earn money from sharing, because sharing is caring and profitable.
Absolutely.
Wondering what we use? Guess what? We've got it all laid out for you. You can just grab that doc. And if you want to, connect with us, then everything that you need wherever to find us on social media, it is right there. So hopefully
That was a long spreadsheet,
it is,
but
but
it's such an important one, and like I use so much of it myself. So like it's not something that we've just made and then we don't actually use it. We do, and that's how we've upgraded some of the stuff and how we've deleted some stuff that we didn't need. I like it really keeps me on the ball with my author career. I actually have copied it sometimes and use it for my business too.
we thought it was,
because there's a lot on there, it's useful to have.
we were going for wildly comprehensive, just
Yeah.
so comprehensive that it would cover everything that they could potentially need. And trying to go with a bunch of different styles, like learning styles and meeting a variety of needs depending on, the structure of your career. So
It's also to hear from anybody something we've missed out that they think would be worth popping in there. We're always up to suggestions.
Yeah, if you have ideas for improvement, we are constantly trying to improve. So we'd love to hear from you.
Absolutely.
All right. And if you have any questions, reach out. You can find us on social media, or you can send an email to hello@theinkwellpublishingservices.com. And we are happy to support you in any way we can. Have a nice rest of the day.
Thank you.